Welcome to Muffin Talk.
Kia ora and welcome to Muffin Talk. This program is brought to you by the initiative Titipounamu, Study and Joy. My guest today is Debbie Miller. Debbie, a warm welcome and haere to Muffin Talk.
Shalom.
Debbie Miller is an active member of Beth Shalom, the Progressive Jewish Synagogue in Auckland. She is a lifetime student of Jewish studies. One of the most famous rabbis of this century has been the late Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, the former chief rabbi of London. Rabbi Sacks was also known for his inspirational presentations on the internet and his work in interreligious dialogue. Debbie, one of the quotes from Rabbi Sacks is, "Where what you want to do meets what needs to be done, that is where God wants us to be." This sounds quite complicated. What do you think he means with this?
A lot of times we think about our place in the world and we want to know what we're supposed to be doing. And so basically this is just saying there is a meeting point where what I bring to the table and what needs to be done in the world, there's a meeting point of those two circles on, say, a Venn diagram where they meet. And that middle spot, that sweet spot where the two places meet, that's where God wants us to be. That's where what we have to contribute and what the world needs done has a meeting point, and that's where we're supposed to be. That's our space. That's what we have to contribute. There is this concept in the beginning of Genesis where it says that God gives us dominion over the earth, is the way it's interpreted. But actually, the word used is a word that literally means that we actually have the ability to rent the property. So in other words, God's given us this piece of land, he's given us these tools, and we're supposed to make from it something, but we're supposed to return it in equally good stead or better stead. So in other words, if we go and take all the coal out of the earth and we make these amazing buildings, but we destroy the atmosphere, that's not doing what we were supposed to be doing. But if we take the stones out of the earth and we build shelters and then we replace the space where we took the stones out, and it's still a beautiful landscape, that's the meeting of the two. In other words, we've taken the materials God's given us, we've made something useful that improves our lives and improves the world and gives shelter to humans, but we haven't destroyed the environment. And that's the sweet spot where we've taken what we've got and we've needed something and we meet in the middle. There's another quote, and when we talked about this earlier this week, you asked me, what do you want to talk about? And I said space and time and the idea of Kedusha, which is holiness. Rabbi Sacks also said, the universe is a space God makes for man. The holy is the space man makes for God. The idea that space and time can have a holiness in it is truly what makes us different from animals. So in other words, we can be active. We can eat, we can sleep, we can go out and hunt. We're talking about ancient humans. And we can be busy, and there's no definition of space or time in that animalistic existence. But when we take a place and we define it as a holy place, and we take time and we take the 6 days we work and on the seventh day we defined it as a holy place. So in other words, we've taken space and we've taken time and we've defined it as holy. That's what makes us human. That's what takes us above the animal. That's the meeting between what we need and what's there for us. And it's esoteric to a certain degree because it's not concrete, and yes, it is concrete. It's making space holy. It's making time holy. If you are an animal, time has no holiness. If you are a human, you can imbue it with holiness.
That's why the
And
space is so important for humans, and that you have one day of the week, or at least some hours a week, that you have a different space where it's not the normal day-to-day work day.
yeah, and exactly. And that's like what was revolutionary when you look at the Bible, okay, and you look at, God created 6 days on the seventh day, it was a revolution. I mean, up until that point in time, people didn't take a day off, you know? They just worked all the time. They were on the verge of starvation many times. So to take a day off was inconceivable. Why would you take a day off, when your life so it becomes very counterintuitive that you will have enough if you stop working one of those days, right? It doesn't make sense to the mind that says, I'm on the verge of starvation already. How can I possibly not work tomorrow? Or everybody, and we have the sense in our totally hyperactive world, oh my gosh, everybody has so much, I have so little. Comparative, analysis about my existence in the world. I can't stop. If I'd stop, I'll lose my job, I'll lose my place, I won't have as much as everybody else. The concept of taking a day off is counterintuitive because the world the place you're functioning. But in order to really be human, in order to really recognize the holiness, you need that space, that time apart that's defined by holiness. And holiness is best defined by ritualistic activities. So in other words, lighting candles and saying blessings and singing songs and imbuing them with exactly what you say, joy. Something that's joyous, that recognizes, joy and holiness, I think at least in Judaism, there's a concept called Oneg Shabbat, which is the joy of Shabbat, of the Sabbath. And the way you bring that to the Sabbath is not just by not working, it's by doing joyous things, by singing, by eating beautiful food, by meeting with people, by having meals, by having a weekly celebration that brings joy into your life.
In Christianity, we have the good news, and we have the joy in the service, which was very important.
One of the things that Judaism and the Bible talks about, and with the Jubilee is basically what they're talking about, is that exploitation with no control, resources that have no time off, are inevitably destroying the holiness of the space, And the same thing, holiness can only be created when there is a definition of time and space. So you can't just take and make a temple holy and have it no other use. This is my perspective, but I'm just saying what I think. So in other words, if you take a holy place, such as a church or a synagogue, and you only make it holy and it has no other purpose, then you haven't actually defined the space as, okay, now it's this and then it's that, you know? It needs to have its purpose for the 6 days of the week, and on the seventh day, then it can be the holy place. So I totally think that our holy spaces don't have the right to just be exclusively holy, because then they become like castles. They need to have purpose during the week where they are a source of education, or they are a source of activity that is productive, not just holiness. And then on the seventh day, that space can be holy. But they need to be a place where activity happens 6 days a week. And then your defined space of being holy becomes holy. We take these places and turn them into castles, fortresses of purely holiness, but not activity. It's very problematic because
But when you like
we
the
are,
activity and that's where you want to be, and is that then where God would be? So when the place, as I mentioned earlier in that quote, where you want to do, where what you want to do meets what needs to be done, that is where God
well,
wants to
that's more
be.
about my individual purpose in the world. But the other quote where you're talking about defining space and time, that's the second step. The first one is, where's my place in the world? What am I? Debbie Miller, I am born with a certain set of skills, okay? What am I supposed to do in this world? Am I supposed to go till the land? Am I supposed to teach students? Am I supposed to, produce food? What's my purpose? Maybe people are starving. The real purpose, the real thing I need to do is go out and till the land and make food. You know, maybe my children, it always starts in concentric circles. Maybe I'm starving, maybe my children are starving, maybe my community's starving. Whatever's closest and in concentric circles. Obviously, people in Ghana are starving, or people in sub-Saharan Africa are starving, but I first have to take care of what's closest to me and then move outward from there. But the question is, and this is important, is that we need to move in circles, because in the information age, a lot of times we become extremely overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, everything's happening in the world, and these I'm responsible for, like, where's my place? And the answer to that question is, your place starts first with you, then with your family, then with your community. If you do not have those circles, it's not good for you. It's not mentally good for you. It's not physically. People need to be part of a personal, a family, a community, a society. And then their stone that they throw into the water reverberates and fixes the broken vessel of the earth. That's an image in mystical Judaism, that our light, whatever we do, reverberates and brings the vessel back, the broken vessel back to being a fixed vessel. That first statement is about what I have to do. But the second statement about creating holy space and time is the revolution of the Sabbath. And holy space and time, we can't lose sight of the fact that space needs to be more than just a defined holy spaces. Our churches and our synagogues and our mosques were not created to be castles that are only used one day a week. They should be viable sources of activity, and then they have the right for a holy space and time. You understand my point?
Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to say. Holiness can only exist if you have the 6 days of activity and then you define it with ritual and joy and action by taking a day off. But if that holy space becomes a decorated castle, we've missed the point.
Thank you so much, Debbie, and this is very much food for thought. Thank you very much for for talking about these quotes from Rabbi Sacks and about the space,
Holy space.
holy,
We're making that's what you're doing with these videos. You're making holy space.
correct.
So honestly, talking with you really makes me think about these things and put it into words what I didn't know I believed until I had to think about it.
We made space for it. Thank you very much.
Out there, heroic peace is calling. In the bonds of love we meet. For the world a new day dawning, and shines a light to greet. We're singing, this is the day when the hope was calling. This is the day when the light did shine. This is the day